Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM22 Career Mode. This is episode number 19. Oof, rough race day condition draw. That is super bad, and not the totally badass movie that is super bad. That is just ridiculously atrocious race day condition draw. The expected for the team net was just simply a +2. This is not that. This is not that. It's Abner Gonzalez who had the expected +2. He gets +3. So overall, the team had a total +2 draw, and then there's -8 net. So yeah, not good. All right. Well, anyway, here's what we're up to for this one. I have some news, some updates on kind of where we're at, season 2 versus season 3. Season 1, of course, was just us getting pummeled all the time and having that one very, very big surprise victory with the super weak team. Now, since that time, season 2, we picked up 8 quality riders that were fairly decent, that were growing, that were developing. We got a number of wins. It was much better, but we did not have depth. And even the riders we had didn't have a ton of quality. They just were better than what we had. And especially being that we had made that jump straight to Continental Pro, made it that much harder to get results because we had some bigger, tougher races. So whenever I quick simmed, nothing happened. I mean, we rarely got into top 10s. We certainly weren't winning, though I think there was one or two over the course of the year. So it's not like it never happened, but it was inconsistent. We were regularly outside of competitive places when using the quick simulation. But then that group had a year of development, so they got better. Plus, we then brought in this year a group that not only was better than the group we brought in the year before, but was equivalent or better than where that group was after a year of development, meaning we added a lot of depth to the squad. And so now, your B teams in those minor races, those quick sim races, have depth, have quality. Finally, Vandenberg makes it up here to the front. I was wondering when he was going to show up. Anyway, we're at 3 minutes to the breakaway, which has not even united just yet. So we're going to have to keep our eye on where things are with that one. This Settimana is a 5-stage race. I quick simmed the first 4 stages. I did not select what riders would be here, but we've got some quality riders here. We have quite a strong group here. And there was a team time trial in which we won. But then, quick simming through the other stages, through other punchy stages, the team continued to perform. We had another stage win in here with Abner Gonzalez, I believe it was, and the team continued to perform well. So now, as we enter stage number 5, and we have a 5.5 minute break, I think that's about time that we do something with that one. And Vandenberg is the likely guy to get up here and help keep things in check. We'll set about a 68 pace for now to make sure this gap does not get out of hand. Anyway, we find ourselves entering this final stage in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 7th in the standings. Vandenberg in 7th, not too worried about his position in the overall. Frigo is the only other one who has fallen off at 3.5 minutes behind. So Frigo and Vandenberg are going to be used to try to, well, first off, keep this breakaway in check, keep them from getting too far away. 5.5 minutes is our gap. We want to hold that steady so that we can pull that back later on. Honestly, though, this field, one of the weakest fields we've seen. And I'm doing this race, this stage, just for fun, to see if we can't follow up what the AI has done, which is get the kind of results that we have not been able to get in previous seasons. They are starting to get consistently, pulling in results on their own without aid. Vandenberg has actually already pulled that gap back a little bit, so we're going to slow down slightly for him, as he really doesn't need to pull it back just yet. Just need to keep it kind of in check as we go to head into this Category 1 climb, the first of 2 Cat 1s on the day. Oddly, I was just completing this race in my pro cyclist mode. Just yesterday I was filming that, and it was a very different field in that race than what we have here. I mean, there was a lot of quality riders in that field, and this one really just doesn't have it. Gap back out to 6 minutes as Vandenberg took that foot off the gas a little bit. Let's speed it back up to a 68, as we don't want those guys getting too far away, but of course they are pushing a lot deeper to open the gap up the way they are. 7 minutes now, the advantage, and still growing. So Vandenberg's going to have to push a little bit harder. I don't like seeing the gap being this big. Let's go ahead and get Frigo also involved, and we'll push maybe a 73-73 for these guys, because yeah, 8.5 minutes is now already starting to get borderline too big. All right, well, Gonzalez is the leader overall after winning that stage. Of course, that team time trial set us up nicely, but I think we're looking at, it's for second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh. That's how good things are. Somehow the gap's still growing. Those guys pushed really hard through that climb. I am too concerned. I don't know how we were pulling them back at 68 effort, and then at 73 effort they were pulling away. They definitely intensified their efforts. Anyway, let's go ahead and protect the leader. Everybody else, I kind of want unity among the group. 9-minute gap. Gotta watch that. It's got to start coming down now. I mean, it's 97K. We are going to very much outclimb these guys, but it's going to be hard to get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if we don't pull back. Finally, other teams are getting involved in the chase. This is good. This is good. So Frigo, go ahead and let's get some water. We need that now. We will need it one more time. 90K is a little bit too far out, and we've already seen the Peloton split in half. But the gap's coming down, and other teams are interested in the chase, which means I realistically only need to keep one of these two guys alternating on the front for a while. Heavy. You can really see that lift in tempo, considering that at 76 effort these guys very quickly moved backwards. Gap down to 8 minutes. Arrieta now, the latest to be struggling with tempo, working his way backward. We'll get back forward. We've got a little bit of climbing to do before we reach the next Cat 1. I'll want to make sure we're in position once we get to that, but I think we'll be okay short term. Arrieta, not recovering position as fast as I would hope, but there you go. Now he's back in place. Down to 56, group getting smaller and smaller. That front group down to a 5-minute advantage. Chase coming pretty hard. A lot of teams still interested in this thing. Anyway, my goal today is to see how many guys we can finish. Obviously, we want to win the overall, which we're already in position for, but I'm just curious, can I get a top 5 to stay a top 5? With all the undulation, 5 minutes is still pretty doable. There's a sustained rhythm at the moment. Some riders definitely will be able to Frigo definitely in trouble. Vandenberg definitely in trouble. And Bogley with that -5 race day condition, he's in trouble too. So it means we're looking more like top 4 kind of guys. As Vandenberg about to be out also. Group about to split. Frigo, how are you as a climber? Not so good. So use that punchiness a little bit. Annaberg, see you later. You're gone. Frigo just trying to hang on. Bogley also, no, he's going to be done. Frigo might just make it, but I don't think he's going to make it either. And we're suddenly down to just 22 riders. Bogley gone from 4th place though. And Frigo also out of energy. 21 riders. Front group's all split up though as we go to hit the top. Pithy, the latest to be struggling. This negative race day condition really hurting. Aggressive field though. Very aggressive field. More so than you would expect for sure. Gonzalez, the only one looking good. Arietta looking okay. But the negative draws for those. Come on. Slow pace, flat section right at the top, and he falls on his own. For Mark. Nope, not. For Mark, slow way down, please. Gonzalez still hasn't even gotten up. Did he die? Jeez, look how far back he is. Okay, he is riding, but my oh my, did he just take over 2 minutes to get up. Frigo and Bogley, they're the ones that are going to have to wait, and we're going to have them both wait. Keep the other guys at the front. We do have 5th, 2nd, and 3rd in this group, meaning we still have 1st, 2nd, 3rd here in this group. Force the others to do the work. Stay in position. Hope those guys can catch up, but they got a little recovery on that descent. But not much. These two going backwards. And there's Gonzalez. Okay. 3-man group. Let's use Frigo first. You know what, if I quick sim this, there's a very good chance we still would have comfortably had the top 4. No action, but doing the race itself, things have gone very differently. And we are now looking at a difficult chase being necessary. 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes to pull back. That is a very, very lengthy time that he found himself on the ground. Frigo gel now. Bogley gel now, because he's not going to have anything left. Frigo's going to barely even just catch this group right here, which is now known as the Peloton. And the front group is E3. We've already pulled it back to 2 minutes anyway. Frigo going to the front. Let's see if we can get some help and support at all. No, the gap's out to 3 minutes. I think Gonzalez is just going to have to go bridge the gap to the next group and leave these two behind. Put them on auto. Oi. That was not... I rolled forward to increase your effort, not to go see who's up the road. And he already pulled it back down. It very, very quickly grew to 3 minutes there. He climbed on his own, pulled it back down to 2.25 in moments. So very, very quickly he brought that back a bit, but he could only climb so fast. The other three all there. Pithy not looking so good. Vermark not looking so great either. Here we go again. Partial climb. These guys are willing to give a little support, so let's... they were for a moment. The moment I try to go for it, they decide they're going to push harder. Okay, those three guys up ahead were not on the road to catch. This one is. And we very quickly caught him. Those guys are all lapped. Those guys are all lapped. There's only one rider between us and the front group, though it is now splitting, and Pithy and Vermark are both struggling to stay there as of right now. Pithy's been dropped. Pithy, I want you to back off and come help your leader. Just 13 left in the group, and Vermark barely. And let's wait for this rider. It's going to let that heart rate come down a little bit more. Speaking of rider, as he goes over the top, that's where he crashed right there. And that's where Pithy was just a moment ago. Pithy's wait is taking this long. Gonzalez has made his way up to the next group. There is Pithy. Pithy will be able to help for a little bit as he's gone backwards. Vermark and Arietta hanging in there. And the gap. How is that gap looking? It's under 2 minutes now, but boy, we have not pulled back much time on our own here. We pulled back about 30 seconds is all. But now it's Pithy's turn. And Gonzalez just follow. Let Pithy put the work in to try to bring us back forward. He is not much of a climber, so we'll use just a little bit of punchiness for him. Go hard for a little bit. And let's check back in on these two at the front. The front three left from the break don't have much of a gap. So they would be an easy catch if we can catch back up to that group. But that's a pretty big if. Now we keep just ditching rider after rider as the field's not terribly strong, and we've got a ways to go yet. But Gonzalez does not have a lot left to try to go catch.
Another attack in the leading group.
As Gonzalez now again on his own has pulled it back to within a minute of that front group. And it's down to just 10 riders now. Gonzalez, very little left in the tank though. And Pithy got dropped by Gonzalez's efforts. Bring it down a little bit, get that heart rate down, get some recovery please, thank you. These guys want to contribute at all? No? They pulled back some of those front riders, or are they attacking right now? Somebody attacking. Yes, they are. As close as it is. It's less than a minute. It's less than a minute. I think it's time. Arietta. Wait for this rider. Vermark's too tired. He needs to just wait. But Arietta, let's go get Gonzalez. Because he is right there. And the whole group is waiting. The whole group is waiting. So that brought us back in, but that opened the gap in front, which included those two guys that just went clear. So finally, Gonzalez is back on board. Arietta is looking good. Arietta's got to do the chasing now. As he's the one who's got the energy. Vermark and Gonzalez, remember, we're trying to not just win, but we're trying to hang on. So let's see what's going on in front. Manzer, one of the guys attacking, is at 8.5 minutes down overall. He's not a threat, but Schultz, minute 26. Araya, place 13th, 58 seconds. There's your threat. And Fideli, 104. So 58 seconds. We need to be within 58 seconds. Here is the front two. Benedetti and Daniel. 58 seconds. We've got to be less than a minute back, which right now we are 2.5 down. Gap at 206. Definitely too big. And they're a minute down on Gonzalez, not on the other two. Vermark is half a minute down. Arietta's only 5 seconds back. This group we're catching is a group that's being lapped. we're seeing an attack. 8th place, 50 seconds down. And Banzer, who we're coming back at. Gonzalez, follow Arrieta, please. Remark. Remark's going to end up getting dropped here. We're suddenly going to be down to a top 2. Yep, group just split. Vermark on his own now. Forgot we were going to need water one more time. And we've pulled it back to 44 seconds. Arrieta pulling it back nice and fast here.
There are just 10 kilometers left.
38 seconds now, and the group's down to 5 that we are chasing with. Front group just dropped a rider, so they're down to 6. And the gap is small. Arrieta, I think Arrieta can go on and win this stage and win the overall, while Gonzalez is going to kind of have to settle for taking 2nd place. But for now, we want to pull him along. Because we are very much under threat here. That crash to Gonzalez has been very costly. And the huge negative race day condition draw of the team. Here's that last little false flat section. We pull back one of those riders finally, but the front 6 are still 40 seconds away. And here we go. Okay. Gel and gel. And we're going to go to 85, 84 now. Seeing an attack. Benedetti again trying to attack. 2.8. And we're down to a front 3. And Wood's actually out in front of us as we're trying to pull back those front 2 guys. 1.6. Final kilometer. 700 meters left. Front 3. Somehow we're not catching that front 3. Really thought we would have pulled them back very, very quickly here. Maria, double, Schultz. And we are 4th, 5th, 6th with Harrison Wood. Did we do enough? Big question. It was less than a minute. I think we're okay. For Mark, 1K to go. It's a little too far out right now for an attack. 800 meters. Now sprint for the line. He's actually out of energy. He'll still be top 20 on the stage. 18-19. And Pithy, the latest. He was 3rd overall. 20 still hasn't come across. Vermark was still the latest guy. Carboni just goes ahead of us. And a few guys there in between. 24th for him. Here is Bogley. Finishes 50th. There was a lot of riders in that small gap. Huge time gaps. Some of those guys at the front were breakaway riders who were down a lot of time. Some of those guys were just down a lot of time, period. But we're going to see a huge shakeup in the standings. And the questionable thing is, did we do enough to come back? Did I screw up Arrieta's chance at winning? Or did we do enough to get the 1-2? So close. It's definitely going to be close. Again, my focus was trying to get as many guys into that top 5 as possible, as opposed to just getting one of them there. It would have been easy to get one. Gonzalez was kind of the focus because he was in the leader's jersey and he had the good race day condition. But then that crash really messed with that, so... Did I do enough? Or did I push us just a little too far? 52 seconds. Not the time that I saw at the finish line. In fact, Harrison Wood gets 48. Cross the line with him. That's going to make it even closer. Really? The 4 seconds wouldn't have made a difference. We still would have been 2nd and 3rd. Paul double. Double. I don't know. I don't know what his origins are. UK wise, it would just be Paul Double. But so I should have sacrificed Gonzalez and rode for Arrieta. Arrieta, I could have kept the win. I could have if we focused on Arrieta. But I told you what the goal was, to get as many of those guys as I could. And that crash when Gonzalez went down, that changed everything. And I didn't change tactically at that point. I was still trying to focus on him. Second and third only. But back to the original point, the quick sim. We have enough quality and depth now that the quick sim is actually getting some results, and fairly consistently. We were in a great position entering that final stage. Things went horribly wrong on that stage, and I thought I did enough to salvage it. We did not. We did not. Well, that race didn't go according to plan, but like I said, I had a stated goal, and I stuck to that plan even after the crash, even after that poor race day condition draw, and it didn't. It was so close. We almost pulled it off, at least for the 1-2, and not enough otherwise. If I hadn't have stuck to that goal, if I would have sacrificed Gonzalez at that point and just focused on the group at the front, we easily could have, for Arrieta, gotten that result, because Arrieta was backing off, doing enough to keep Gonzalez in tow and help Gonzalez get to the line, and Arrieta alone, we make up those 11 seconds. He gets the overall, but then it's a 1 with nobody else in the top 10, because Gonzalez would have been left way behind. I was trying to get as many guys as possible. Anyway. Here's what we have coming up on the calendar, and this is what I'm excited about, is that we had one World Tour race last year. We have 7 coming up over the next month. 7. And some big ones. Only one stage race, and it's really a Basque Country, and that one's not a big deal, even though it's going to occupy a lot of time. But Dors door Vlaanderen, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, Paris-Roubaix, Amstel Gold, the Flèche Wallonne, and Liège-Bastogne-Liège. So this was fantastic that we got into this many races. But you can also see that we barely squeezed in a couple of objectives for a few riders here and there. And ultimately what I did with that one was we had our clear focus for the sponsor objective. Eschborn-Frankfurt, which is just after this window. And so there was a lot of guys that already had an objective in this period. But there was a few guys that had no objective in this period, so I gave them one that suited them. But that's all it got us. That's all it got us is 4 little objectives along the way. A couple more down here as you go down the list a little bit further. So there are some other guys that, we got some objectives for, but it's really nothing more than a handful, and it's usually domestique or second tier kind of guys in those races, but at least it's going to make us a little bit stronger. So I don't know how well we're going to do in this first round of World Tour races. We're going to be the underdog for sure. We're not going into them stacked. We're not bringing our A team across the board. But one thing is very clear. While I spread it out, you can see like Pithy has 3 races out of the 7. Bogle has 4. Vermark has 5. Vandenberg has 3. So you can see there's a trend that nobody has all of the races. We didn't just put an A team and stack that deck and just do through there. It is spread out, but we're not talking about the weakest guys, right? Ponemar has 1 race. Mikkels has 1 race. Culverwell has 2. McKellar has 1. That's it. Vashek and above, these guys all have, 3-4 races. I think we have just the one with 5. So busy period, a lot going on. Not necessarily the A team, but strong teams at all these races, but without fitness peaks, without objectives for the most part. So we're going to have to kind of rely on what sort of race day condition you get on the day. And some of these races are going to be super tough for a team such as ours. Paris-Roubaix, for instance, requires, an 80 plus cobble rating. We just don't have anything like that. So I don't know what kind of results we'll be able to get, but I'm excited to try them all for the first time with, a fairly decent squad put together that's probably going to be on the back foot at each and every one of them, except for maybe Itzulia Basque. Itzulia Basque is a fairly straightforward, fairly easy race. But even the Dwars to Flanderen, the junior Flanders race, is still going to be a challenge. It'd be nice if we can get a top 10 at any of these races along the way. If we can get a top 10 or 2, that would be pretty phenomenal. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.